All right, we're all back. And Richard, thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you all for being here. First of all, I know this was all sorts of things have happened before this. I was supposed to give this talk, and then of course it got because of Technohan's uh, ceremony that got delayed, and all these other things that have, I couldn't give it the next weekend because I was working. So thank you all for being here, being the Sangha, being the place that uh, I can go and learn and be cared for, literally. So thank you. Um, yeah, again, though, because this is the way I do things, as I usually, oh, you got to do this speech or you got to do this, presentation. Okay, great. So I go get all the books that I can and get all the information I can and write it all down. And then, let's go, okay, this is what I want to do. And then go back and, you know, all right, so let's revise this. Nope, that doesn't work. This does. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I did that about 9 times, and I was ready for this, and then it didn't happen. Yeah, so, so, um, and of course, being the person I am, I didn't even look at this until like 3 days ago. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I got to do this. Oh, yeah, here we go. Um, so, I usually like to prep a little bit more right before or a little bit before, but if it sounds like I'm reading stuff to you, it's because I am. All right. um, right livelihood. Right livelihood is a sama. It's called sama Java. Again, my Sanskrit is not well. Um, right livelihood is earning a living in an ethical way. It's based on traditional Buddhist teachings. The goal is not just to make a living. He didn't say we couldn't be, well off or have a good income. But you need to do work that does no harm to others, that benefits others, and has a personal fulfillment. Buddhists taught that the way to achieve enlightenment and to end human suffering was to follow the Noble Eightfold Path. There's three divisions to those, and that's wisdom, conduct, concentration. Each of those paths is designed to is designated in terms of right, meaning, or ethics, moral, however you want to define that. Um, in the sutras, Buddha does define the five precepts for right livelihood, and certain certain professions are forbidden because they result in harm to other living beings. Those professions are: one, businesses in weapons and arms; two, businesses in human beings such as slavery, prostitution, anything to do with exploitation; um, three, business in meat referring to the bodies of living beings that are after they've been killed. This includes breeding animals for slaughter, you know, breeding them for food, breeding them for garments, and all that stuff. Number four was business in intoxicants, this manufacturing of selling of intoxicants or addictive drugs. And five, the business in poisons, the manufacturing of selling or of any kind of poisons or toxins designed to kill. Um, the So obviously some of the ones that are available to us, if we're not going to do any of those five, is like healthcare, counseling, education, food service. These will be all considered right livelihood. Obviously, being a pimp, a drug dealer, and a hitman are not on the list. Sorry. Uh, I think it, but I also think that along with those five, that it doesn't matter whatever profession we have. Uh, I think we need to include those precepts, the of don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, as part of that right livelihood. Um, and also, I mean, because we actually read the five precepts every time. Part of this is just, part of the right livelihood is treating everyone that you know or encounter in your work or even in your life with, courtesy, respect, kindness. Um, if you're in a position of authority, you help the people under you grow and advance. If you're an employee, you help your coworkers. You show the new coworker the ropes. Hey, this is where the lunchroom is. Come sit down next to me. That sort of thing. And if you try to do every task that you've given to the best of your ability, doing it mindfully, and interacting with others in those five precepts. Um, right livelihood and right conduct should be influenced by our wisdom and concentration. Again, this brings us back to don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Uh, if you're if you're in a business, don't try to cheat your customers. If you're trying to sell things to other people, don't sell them you know cheap, unworthy goods. If you're you don't want to sell them shoddy stuff. If you're an employee, you don't want to take credit for someone else's work. You know, oh, let me do this. Okay. Um, you know, I don't. All right, so we're not supposed to steal, but you probably shouldn't take home the office supplies to the house. From work. It's those are those kind of accumulate though, and so you get the idea that it's not just what we do; it's how we do this. Um, uh, um, if you're an employee, you you're there, you work, the time that you're supposed to, and you do what you're supposed to do. If you're an employer, uh, unfortunately, uh, you're supposed to pay a living wage and get treat your employees with respect and kindness also. Um, Unfortunately, that brings us to um, that's not always happening. Um, I sometimes I go to the farmers markets and the places I go and visit, and so I went up to this guy, and he's selling goat cheese. It's like, oh, that's good. And it was good goat cheese. Um, and we got to talking, and he said that he was one of the securities high stock person up on Wall Street, and he was really trying to be honest with his clients, and not lie, not cheat, and do what he knew was right. And he was sitting in his office one day, and and he figured out that he was the only one in the whole of his company that hadn't lied, hadn't cheated, and if he wasn't going to lie and cheat, he'd never make it past never advance. So he decided to go open up a goat farm. So, yeah, he decided that that's not what he needed to do to be a good person. Um, this is kind of like, yeah, if you're an attorney trying to exonerate innocent people from things they didn't do, that's right livelihood. If you're the prosecuting attorney and you're bringing charges against someone who you shouldn't be bringing charges against, That's not right livelihood, even though you're doing what you're supposed to do. If you're an accountant, my mother was an accountant, and she kept the books. Uh, Good, right livelihood. If you doctor the books and you make it so that you can put all your money into offshore accounts and never have to pay any taxes on them, that's not quite right livelihood. I mean, I was at the doctor's this morning. The doctor is really trying to, he's really trying to make my life better and help me have less pain. But if he's, if he was just so, oh, okay, here, do this, do that. Let me charge you for this test. Let me do this test, and that's not necessary. Then that's not quite being right livelihood. I mean, but that's kind of hard to do some days because there's no. It's really hard to be pure in our livelihoods now. Um, Take that doctor for instance. He really is trying to help me, but the insurance companies, and sorry, Michelle, um, the they're more into making their profits, and so he has to deal with them in order to make me feel better. So, I mean, is he wrong? Should he stop? I no. He's doing what he needs to do. I mean, um, it, it if you're it's the problem with our system of making a living nowadays is that we're so interconnected. It's so vast. I mean, I was going. Uh, I like blueberries, and obviously they're not in season in Connecticut, but they are in Argentina. And I go to the Stop and Shop, and there's a basket of blueberries from Argentina. Should I buy that? You know, eh, I don't know if the farmer in Argentina is getting paid a living wage. I don't know how much, um, you know, how much climate change disaster is happening from them shipping them from Argentina to me here in Connecticut. Um, but if I don't buy them, that guy doesn't get paid. The person delivering them to the store doesn't get paid. The guy's putting them on the shelf doesn't get paid. So it's hard to understand. It's hard to just say, oh no, I don't. I'm only going to buy blueberries that are from this place. That's kind of hard to do. Um, our decisions can change livelihoods and landscapes thousands and thousands of miles away. And so that kind of brings us to saying in my family, you can't work in the kitchen without getting messy, unless and especially if you're my sister, because she just makes a mess. Um, it's difficult to live and work in a corrupt, basically unethical society without being stained by it. It's tough being the lotus if you work in a if you have to work in a particularly nasty and all-pervasive mud. Um, it and it may not be possible to not do any harm. Um, Very few things nowadays are very clear cut. And so one of those things that I found was that even Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, um, when I meditate on the interrelatedness of all things, I can see that the butcher is not the only person responsible for killing the animal. He does his work for all of us who eat meat. We are co-responsible for his act of killing. We may think the butcher's livelihood is wrong and ours is right if we don't eat meat. He doesn't have to kill, or he would kill less. Right livelihood is a collective matter. The livelihood of each person affects all, and vice versa. The butcher's children may benefit from my teachings, while my children, because they eat meat, share responsibility for the butcher's livelihood. And this kind of makes it to a more personal note for me. I, I one of the first things you shouldn't do is make arms and kill people, right? That's one of the livelihoods. Is not. In my research, I found that I was in the military for 20 years, and Buddha didn't put that. You can't be in the military, maybe because he thought it was on. It was. Obviously, you're using weapons and you're trying to kill people, so you shouldn't do that. But the problem he found, and this is kind of paraphrasing, the problem that he found was a lot of the rulers and kings and that other people that were in charge of the areas he was at didn't want him to say that you couldn't be in the military because um, they would just go, "Oh, I don't have to kill. I'm not going to. I'm just going to be a monk," and no one would join the military, and so they had a problem. And so Buddha basically said, "Okay, if you join the military, you're just going to have a rough afterlife. Your reincarnation isn't going to be that great." Okay, so that's fine. And so, but I thought when I was in the military that, I wasn't a Buddhist when I first joined. I became a Buddhist like 2, 3 years after I joined in the military. And I kind of justified my staying in the military is that I was a medic and I was there to carry bandages and monitor the health of others and keep the wellness of every of the guys in my command up to speed. But I was also trained to handle weapons because there was this thought that if I was there to save lives, I may have to kill someone in order to prevent them from further harm. And of course, there was lots of different missions I was on where I knew, oh yeah, this was right. I did the right thing. I helped people, and I was taking care of the things I needed to take care of. But unfortunately, maybe because I was in so long, I did encounter that situation where I had to take another's life, and it was pretty. It wasn't like I was dropping a bomb on somebody. It was personal. It was face to face. So me taking this person's life, am I still on the right livelihood? Was I still doing the right thing? The thing was that this person was transporting weapons and missiles to the Kosovo War. And so if I had not had stopped him, he would have not only killed some of my men, maybe me, but all those missiles and weapons, how many thousands of people would that have killed? And, does, does the people that put me in that spot and put him in that spot bear some responsibility for this? So the thing is that understanding right livelihood is again so interconnected, interrelated, as Technahan says. My understanding is that it means livelihood fully understood, and fully conducted with all its attentions, all its problems. One of the problems that I encountered, and one of the problems that we face in Western society, is that our identity is so taken up with our livelihood. Go to a party. What's the first question you go? Someone asks you, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" You know, it's like, "Oh yeah," you know. And I've been to gatherings where and Dave probably can understand this. I've been to gatherings where you know, there's doctors and there's lawyers and all this other stuff, and other uh, helping professions. And I say, "Oh, I'm a substance abuse counselor." And they're like, "Oh, you're one of those." It's like, why? Wait a minute. No, I help people. I really do. You know, I'm not just handing out heroin on the streets, though. Sorry. You know, um, but so that they identify you, and a lot of people identify themselves as this profession. And I actually had a hard time when I got out of the military redefining myself and figuring out, okay, wait, I was a medic and I did a lot of things, and now what can I do? You know, um, and instead of understanding, no, I'm still this kind, caring person that treats everyone that tries to treat everyone with respect. Um, you know, one of the things that I would do is I would tell people I'm an artist. I wouldn't tell them I'm a licensed board certified art therapist that works with mental health and substance issues. I don't tell them I was a hospital corpsman for 20 years, stationed with the Navy SEALs. All those things have different perceptions of how you're perceived and what is good and what isn't. Um, I sometimes would tell them that no, I'm just the dog catcher for New Britain. You know, just it's not no big deal, nothing. You know, because we get so um, our jobs become these satisfactions that we have to have. These things that we're trying to find this enlightenment in. Um, there's probably no perfect livelihood. There's probably no perfect job that exists. Uh, you can find some reasonable satisfaction from your work. You're lucky. You really are. Um, Buddhism shows us that changing the way we think and changing that changes the world. That really does. Being mindful about what we think about our jobs, the numerous connections those jobs have, being aware of the relationships within our jobs, and applying other paths of the wisdom, conduct, and concentration should decrease our suffering and help to find the middle way in our livelihood. Um, and I guess the best thing I can think of is that whatever our livelihood, um, it's the place that we need to be to practice the Dharma. It just is. That's the one thing I found from my experiences in the military and in substance use is that this is the place I need to figure out what is true and what is how to lessen this suffering that I have brought on myself and maybe help others lessen their suffering. Um, yeah. Oh, I have one other thing, and this is I I like I had this discussion with somebody, and they said, "Well, so what are you reading?" And I'm like, "No, I don't read." What? You know, it's like, wait. You don't read? No, I just surf. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. One of the things I like to read is poetry, and it's not always Buddhist poetry, but I hopefully you guys know who Margaret Atwood is. She's the one that did the Handmaid's Tale and other fantasy and religious science fiction stuff. Well, she's also a poet, and she wrote a poem called All Bread. And this kind of focuses on what I was trying to say. So I'm going to read it to you, and then maybe that'll be the point where we can start the discussion. All Bread by Margaret Atwood. All bread is made of wood, cow dung, packed brown moss, and the bodies of dead animals, the teeth and backbone, what is left after the ravens. This dirt flows through the stems into the grain, into the arm, 9 strokes of the axe, skin from a tree, good water, which is the first gift, 4 hours. Live burial under a moist cloth, a silver dish, the row of white famine bellies swollen and taut in the oven, lungfuls of warm breath stopped in the heat from an old sun. Good bread has the salt taste of your hands after 9 strokes of the axe, the salt taste of your mouth. It smells of its own small death, of the death before and after. Lift those ashes into your mouth, your blood. To know what you devour is to concentrate it. Sorry, English, my second language. To know what you devour is to consecrate it. Almost. All bread must be broken so it can be shared. Together we eat this earth. Thank you.